Good afternoon and welcome to Joy Newsroom. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 on all our social media handles. We're Joy News on TV. Coming up, West Member of Parliament Peter Lancheni-Tobu expresses deep concern over the increase in pollution of the Black Volta River by illegal miners.
The people in Wichita cannot get clean drinking water. And worst of all, those who are living around the river and drinking from this river will be drinking poison. So if a human being is drinking poison that will not survive, you can imagine the life in the sea or the life in the river.
We have more as the association takes a frontline role in the fight against galamsey. Also coming up, the Ghana Bar Association proposes full transparency in the process for the removal of a Chief Justice by making petitions public and allowing a Chief Justice the chance to defend him or herself in open proceedings. We have details of that recommendation. Also coming up, renowned legal practitioner Anankam Ankomah has advised musicians and instrumentalists who perform in churches to ensure they have clear contractual agreements before demanding payment for their services.
Having been informed as a country that
must be an agreement, and an agreement is arrived at when the two minds meet. The lawyers will call it consensus ad idem. In Tree, will say at ntiasia ejuma.
Okay.
Right.
These and more this afternoon on Joy Newsroom. My name is Faustina Safo. We'll be back with details. This afternoon, the West Member of Parliament, Superintendent retired Peter Lancheni-Tobu, has expressed deep concern over the increasing pollution of the Black Volta River by illegal miners. He warned that the livelihoods of communities depending on the river are under serious threat and called for a collective and even spiritual fight against the menace. Superintendent retired Peter Lancheni-Tobu made these remarks during an inspection tour of 4 galamsey sites in communities close to the Black Volta. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports for more.
The livelihoods of 28 communities in the West District and some 4 municipalities and districts in the Upper West region is being threatened as a result of the activities of illegal mining in the Black Volta. The threat is existential as it also affects clean water and Ghana's only hippo sanctuary, which over the years has generated revenue for the West District Assembly and better the economic well-being of the people. Water in the Black Volta used to be colorless and clean. It is now brownish with pungent smell. Concerned about the consequential effects of the activities of the illegal mining, Member of Parliament for West, Superintendent retired Peter Lancheni-Tobu led a team of security personnel that comprise of the Ghana Armed Forces, Ghana Police Service, and the Ghana Immigration Service to embark on an inspection tour of illegal mining sites along the Black Volta. Communities visited included Bankpama, Shietanga, and Dochira.
So when we say galamsey is an existential threat, it is an understatement. Can you imagine that this river is destroyed? And the people in West Central cannot get clean drinking water. The people in Doromo cannot get clean drinking water. The people in Wichita cannot get clean drinking water. And worst of all, those who are living around the river and drinking from this river will be drinking poison. So if a human being is drinking poison that will not survive, you can imagine the life in the sea or the life in the river. All the fishes will be gone. And what are we doing to ourselves? But we protected these lands to be able to support the very existence of the river over many years. If we can do this, we will not sit and watch the river to be destroyed by people who are just looking for money. It's unconscionable to believe that people, the love for money is actually the root of all evil. You love money to the point that you are willing to destroy livelihood, to destroy communities. This should not stand, and it shouldn't.
The team was, however, unable to arrest any of the illegal miners, neither seize any of their machines during the tour.
we didn't make any arrests. Because the system is such that even access to the riverside is a challenge. So as the vehicles sound, you can hear the sound of champagne machines. But before you get there, everybody will have disappeared. And they move along the water body. They move, in fact, on the water, they move as if it's a highway. It's so surprising. And you see the fishermen, yes, you see the fishermen telling you that we saw about 3 champagne machines on a boat passing here this morning. But that tells us that it is a fight that we must not relent. We must fight it day and night.
A visible anger Superintendent retired Peter Lanchina Tubu noted that Galamsey is an essential threat which must be fought collectively and won spiritually.
And it's quite a worry. I am convinced that this battle must be won both spiritually and physically. So we engage the chiefs, we engage the tendames. When we were young, we were told that there is a river god. You can't go and just do anything in the river and go scot-free. So I've challenged them. Do something about this. The soldiers will carry the guns, the police will be in uniform and do whatever they want to do. But this is a sacred river that must also be protected. Let the tendames have a role, let the chiefs have a role, and let the security officers back us so that we can win this battle against Galamsey in our water bodies.
He called on the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Immanul Asana, to consider to deploy water gas to the area. Another challenge identified by the Wobes legislature is the poor telecommunication network in the area.
We have informed the communities along the Black Volta to be up and doing with information, and many of them have complained of network. You see something, you want to say something, but your phone is not working. And I'm sure my brother Sam George, Honorable Sam George, the Minister for Communication, is aware of the challenge that Wawes is facing in the area of communication network. He's assured me that he's going to do something about it. If we must fight terrorism and win, if we must fight Galamsey and win, communication is something we have to take a serious look at. And that is why I think that communication is even part of national security.
Consultant at Wildlife Institute, Calgary Zoo, Dr. Bright Kumozi, lamented about the activities of the illegal miners, which he said poses a threat to the life of the endangered species.
Honorable has seen the threat here and has mobilized the whole machinery to this place. And so we are grateful, and we would do our best to support the communities so that they can continue to preserve this extremely important resource. The river, the forest, the share, the women, and everybody around.
The Wobes MP later extended his fight on the Galamsey to the palaces of the Wochao and the Remoparamosis, where he implored the chiefs to collaborate with their colleagues to help in the fight against the Galamsey menace. The destruction, devastating effects, and the fight of illegal mining in the country may have been well concentrated in the southern Gulf of the country. It is now beginning to rear its ugly head in the northern belt of the country. It is now time to focus on the northern belt of the country as well. Reporting for Due News, Rafiq Salam, Bankpama.
Meanwhile, the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Alhaji Yunusa Hussaini, has assured Ghanaians that President John Dramani Mahama will repeal legislative instrument LI 2462 to completely ban all forms of mining activities in the country's forest reserves. While speaking on Newsfile, Mr. Hussaini said that the Mahama administration recognizes the critical role forest reserves play in the environmental stability and is committed to restoring their full protection.
Is the solutions.
So the law is going to be repealed, is it? Yes, it will be repealed. I mean, I think that it's a matter of moral integrity on the part of the president. He has said, I will repeal the law.
So now you have changed from amendment to...
Well, the law is going to be repealed.
Okay.
And Sami Jafi said that 2 days ago. It's going to be repealed. LI 2462 will be repealed.
Beyond repealing that, you joined us in the crusade for a state of emergency on our water bodies and also in our forest reserve. Actually, the Pope that is being buried today, Pope Francis,
yes,
he was very heavy on the matter of ecocide.
Yes.
We had the Metropolitan Archbishop, Bonaventure Kofi, yes, actually also rallying Catholics, and we went on a demonstration about these things, calling for the state of emergency to be declared.
I joined you even in studio And that's why I was from a studio when I heard that my brother and the Democratic Hub people had been arrested. Right. I moved straight to there with a second thought. And that led to the establishment of the Protest Legal, a group that offers free services to those who engage in civil actions. Because we need to protect the environment. And I join you in saying that we should call for a state of emergency, because that will allow us not only to deal with those who are presently on the land, but also those who have even acquired permits legally. Because when you declare a state of emergency, you freeze all rights. So the accrued rights will be frozen. And then you can go into the forest to deal with the people who are there.
So when will the state of emergency happen?
That is why we are bringing the president's attention to the fact that, look, what we promised the people, we should go by it. In fact, if there's anything that will affect us as a government more in this time of John Dramani Mahama, will be our ability or inability to fight illegal small-scale mining.
He should declare a state of emergency on our water bodies and
on the forest area,
forest reserves.
Okay. Should be no-go area.
Okay.
Hussaini engaging Samson on Newsfile yesterday. While Constitutional Rights and Policy Strategy Advisor at Democracy Hub, Oliver Bakavomo, has called for increased civic pressure on the government regarding its handling of illegal mining crisis. He is urging citizens, especially those in mining-affected areas, to speak out and demand decisive action from the authorities.
I mean, even when the former president was on, I had taken a more nuanced position on the state of emergency issue, because I am still quite apprehensive about this, that there's a need to define the framework of it. I have heard so many people, and I've written about this, that I am continuously afraid when people say that a shoot and kill approach is the only
No.
So if that is the understanding people will have of a state of emergency approach, I have been a bit apprehensive about it because of human life. But it doesn't mean that the parameters cannot be defined. It doesn't mean that we will not be able to understand significantly why it is necessary, what the government intends to do, and the due process questions that will be involved in that. But also importantly, the only defense we have, the only thing that the government has said on this issue is the purported statement which was attributed to Mustafa Bande, where he was saying that investors will be queasy. When I wrote about this, he called me and said, in fact, his words had been misreported on the issue. Whether that is true or not, the question is, what is the government saying about it, and why does it think it would not help? That question has not come up, so we can engage it sufficiently on that question. The problem I am having, why I'm even more scared now, that, you know, our law firm has joined a number of organizations, Teu Ghana, Wakam, the Nature and Development Fund, to be doing trainings in those areas to gather more people who would be community agents. I just returned from one yesterday. We were away for the past 2 weeks. The level of despondency in those communities is huge. The belief that we can't do anything about it, yes, because the state is not invested in this. Our chiefs are behind this. If you speak up against it, you are isolated. People have lost the will to fight. That is scary. So we have gotten to a point where we continue to ask ourselves, if this is terrorism, is this the way in which the government proposes to fight terrorism? Because these are not my language, this is the minister's language. So if you are saying that we are dealing with a Boko Haram level of attack on our country, then we are not seeing the same level of response. This is where people's fears and apprehensions remain. So for some reason, this is what I have been saying, that we have been used to dysfunctional politics for a long time in this country. But it seems to us that our politics does not know where to draw the line and say that on this issue, we are facing an existential threat. And we must rally and do everything that it entails. So I don't mind whether it is political parties on the streets, I don't mind it is nursing mothers, whether it's a prayer walk. We must all descend on government, and we must all keep the temperature and the pressure high. For this should be the one thing where we say that we Ghanaians will not allow this to happen to us.
Former United Nations advisor on governance, Professor Bafo Ejimendia, wants a national commitment to the fight against illegal mining.
With the objective of radically developing a policy that will address this. I think all political parties, to avoid this notion of partisan approach to this, now let's have all the political parties together, civil society, and everybody, the chiefs, and sign a national pact, indicating that this is a matter of the highest national interest. Now you come to the issue of emergency. In fact, I spoke to some military generals, friends of mine. Emergency has serious implications, and I think that's what Oliver was saying.
You're dealing with a serious problem.
Yes. No, there's an easy and faster way, is to declare security zones. When you talk to the soldiers, they'll tell you, security zone doesn't take you through the long process of declaring emergency. All you do is to declare those zones, especially where the matter is very severe. Let the soldiers go there, more or less like you condone it, and nobody enters. That requires only a decision by the national security, not parliament, because state of emergency requires parliamentary approval. Yeah.
Away from that, the Ghana Bar Association, initially holding back on a firm position regarding the proceedings against the Chief Justice, has proposed full transparency in making petitions public and allowing a Chief Justice the chance to defend him or herself in open proceedings. Well, these are part of proposals the president of the bar is offering for reforms in the 1992 Constitution. Ifagate, at the bar's media conference held at Labadi Beach Hotel, indicated that the bar is monitoring developments in the process and will comment when the time is right.
Another such committee, the Public Awareness Committee, is one that seeks to educate the public on topical legal issues. One such issue, which is currently on the lips of Ghanaians as a result of the publicity associated with the process triggered for the removal of the Chief Justice, is what is a prima facie case? People then go on to ask, what is the raison d'etre for establishing a prima facie case? Are there any standards to be met in concluding that a prima facie case has been established? Having been informed as a country that petitions against the Chief Justice have been filed, you are repeatedly asked, at what point in time does the country get to know the contents of the petitions? What if the petitions are frivolous, but steps have been taken which may impugn the reputation of the person against whom the petitions have been filed? Assuming that there is a hearing, how long should the hearing be? Can the Chief Justice elect to have the proceedings heard in public instead of in camera? And many more such questions. This process is a novel one in our history as a country, and we, the bar, must continue to monitor the situation and not hesitate to express our opinion on it where the circumstances demand. It is important that in such matters, justice is not only done, but manifestly be seen to have been done. Indeed, it is for this reason that in the wisdom of the Supreme Court, in the 2020 judgment of the Republic versus the Chief Justice and the Attorney General, reference number 36/027019, the court led by Doche JSC, in the epilogue of the judgment, called for the formulation of rules of procedure for the impeachment of Article 71 office holders in the conduct of proceedings under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. The judgment concluded, and I quote, "Judges be accorded a fair measure of justice, fairness, and equity in all deliberations that affect them." It is about time that these guidelines were produced in order to eliminate arbitrariness in such proceedings, which ought to be held expeditiously and possibly in open court, given the necessary publicity such matters attract.
Or beyond that, Efwagate turned the spotlight on illegal mining, revealing the association's plans to take a frontline role in the fight to protect Ghana's environment.
Galamsey is an issue which continues to plague the country's developmental process. The association is committed to playing important roles in the fight against Galamsey. Roles including, but not limited to, promoting the rule of law by pushing for stricter enforcement and amendments to existing legislation and encouraging citizens to report illegal mining activities. This is to ensure that transparency and accountability are encouraged within the legal system. Lawyers have contributed and continue to contribute their quota to strengthening our institutions by, among other things, serving on boards of various institutions. Per the minutes of the Ghana Bar Association dated 24th November 1972, the statutory and international bodies that some members of the association served on were 6 in number, including one known as Ghana UNESCO. However, today, per the available records, members of the association serve on not less than 35 statutory bodies, which number ought to be increased considering the number of statutory bodies operating in Ghana now. By so doing, these statutory bodies will hopefully be spared any needless legal challenge which can impede the function of the statutory body towards the development of the said sector.
The 2024 presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has pointed to multiple factors behind the party's defeat in the 2024 general elections. He cited the arrogance of power, the rising cost of living, the failure to reshuffle government officials, the introduction of the e-levy, and the domestic debt exchange program as major reasons for the loss. According to Dr. Bawumia, these issues, coupled with the challenges of the IMF debt restructuring program, left many Ghanaians struggling. He was speaking at Takrady Technical University Auditorium as the party commenced the nationwide thank you tour.
All the studies so far, the big issues are: one, cost of living. Niema bo ekosoro, ahochiri ebai. The kanu eye adia yefreno arrogance of power. Expresse yasu na eyenti. Yasu edi yentie asem. Party for country say yenye reshuffle. And yes, 8 years yantie. And yes, party for country say yempe e-levy. E-levy no ebe haging. The Tosomiansa party for country say haircut no debt restructure no DDEP. Somewhat in answer. Say sad debt restructuring no ebe haging because most of them are pensioners. And Omapenibe announced said there will be no haircut. Semokai. Ghana for in ING. But Ebaye no yebeye haircut. We so share a buy yentua napco biom na yentua afforestation for biom hatred so yentua. Na also share regions bebree said the general secretary kan ye votes no dudu ono wo ho no ya nye juma bebree wo ho.
Well, joining us now is political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Asante. Thank you so much for your time here on Joy Newsroom. I was just hearing from the party admitting some of the issues that happened that led to their defeat. I'm wondering, to what extent did economic hardship, like the high cost of living, as well as the domestic debt exchange program, affect the MPP's 2024 campaign?
I think what Dr. Baumia has brought to the fore reflects some of the things that we find in the literature which are played out during the last election. He talked about cost of living. This is in the bosom of the economy. He talks about e-levy. It's an economic issue. He talks about haircut, DDR, all right? This all in the area of economics. So it tells you, it confirms what is in the literature, that Ghanaians, when they are looking for somebody to give their vote to, first and foremost, they consider the economy as paramount. I am happy that the research has pointed something to them, and they are now eating humble pie, because we told them, scholars told them, economists, financial experts, that build the economy, because when the economy improves, it robs off everybody, every sector, and that other things that Ghanaians look out for when they are voting, such as what? Infrastructure development, such as what? Employment opportunities, health, and the rest of them, all will be taken care of if the economy improves. But when we're telling them, it all fell on deaf ears. I am happy that the research that they conducted has humbled them, and now they are looking at the issues from our perspective, the perspective that Ghanaians give to them, which they ignore. At least the cornerstone, the stone that they rejected now today is the cornerstone of their building. I am happy. Research doesn't lie. It will always come. But it is my hope and prayer that they will take a cue out of this and learn and build the party much stronger. Issue of arrogance of power. I didn't talk about it because these are some of the light issues. But look, their posture and all that were so annoying. They thought that that's the end of the world. But look, in politics, there is a reward and punishment. And you either receive reward or you are punished for your actions and inactions. And that is exactly what they are saying. I know that as they are moving on, they will bring some of the findings out. We've seen this, bringing at least about 4, in addition to constitutional amendment, in addition to what issue of whether religion plays an important part. Virtually, they are telling us much about the report.
The report that they don't want to make public, but they're already giving us hints as to what is in that report. They also talk about the failure to reshuffle the government officials and how that could have actually affected their outcome if they addressed it earlier. What's your take on that?
Yeah, from where I sit, it's an important observation in the sense that government is nothing but policy. Policy. And what is policy? It's what government decides to do or not to do, which is a function of what government performance, and it dovetails into what? Government records. So you are going to stand on your record. So if you have a bad policy and the policy did not realize the results that you want, you can't stand on it to campaign. The reverse is that your opponent will use as a building blocks for campaign against you, and you have no defense about it. So yes, if you see an incompetent leader which you have put into office, muster courage and take him out. Governor Nana Akufo-Addo sacrificed competence for loyalty. Yes, he was very much interested in people who were loyal to him. But loyalty, that type of argument, is a bogus one. Because yes, who can be the best loyal person to me? It's either my wife or my mother or father. But if I know that they cannot perform, why would I put them into office? After all, is it loyalty we go chop? No, we are looking for what results. We are looking for people who will turn the fortunes of Ghanaians around so as to give you opportunity to stand on that record and campaign. They fail and they push this thing under the carpet. And now it has boomerang, and the reality is here. I think that they have to learn and learn the hard way. that you don't, any government you look at reshuffle is critical. You don't even necessarily throw people out. Sometimes you can change their positions. And sometimes you can bring fresh energy when you realize that an aspect is going down. And sometimes you can bring some people to come and change the game and all that. These are the things we do. They should read about what reshuffle in politics, and they will have superior knowledge of some of these things, so that when we are out there churning out information relative to this, we are not shouting on top of mountains, but we are giving them what materials that they are not paying for, free, that use it to run the affairs of the state. After all, governance is what? Your ability to use economic, political, and administrative resources to make life better for people. So if you have people who have knowledge in that area and they are sharing ideas, what prevents you from taking it? It's only people who are arrogant, people who know more than everybody, people who believe that power is everything, but they also forget that power is transient, and politicians are nothing but birds of passage. They will come and fly away.
What do you make of Kennedy Japan's call for amnesty for individuals who have been suspended from the party?
I think I side with Kennedy. It's a good call. You see, take it or leave it. Alan Jem, I think you cannot ignore him. It's an important equation in the mathematics of MPP. If Alan happened to be in the party, the story would have been different. I'm telling you. All right. So Kennedy is spot on. Bring in Alan, bring in Afoko, bring in into full picture, Cabinet Japan and the like. And then you will see the results. So I think Kennedy's observation is spot on. Is spot on. They should do that. But they should do that without listening to other ugly voices if they really want to build the party. Because in party game of what? Politics, numbers is what matters most. Any other thing is secondary.
Looking ahead, what key lessons should the NPP, as well as other political parties, draw from their defeat, especially if they want to rebuild trust with the electorate?
If you are governing, remember that the people have trusted their power in you. They've entrusted that power in you, and a day will come, they will require what? Accountability. Be honest with them. Be sincere. Govern with passion, and govern at the back of your mind. Derive what? The satisfaction that you need, but provide also what is required of them. And what is it? Resource. And that when people talk, just listen. Because governance is a dialogue, give and take. Once you listen to yourself without talking to others or without listening to it, it becomes a monologue. But that is not it. And that remember that when people disagree with you, you should have a big stomach to stomach these things. And then you take the best in terms of advice. But if you become so arrogant, you become so bossy that you want to lord it over them, that you rule with threats, you rule with what? Iron fist. You rule with what? Bad policies. And then all ideas, all advices, all wise counsel will fall on deaf ear. Then you are heading for doom. There is no way that you can be saved. You can manipulate whatever electoral system, but when people speak, that is it. Because democracy, if you want to understand it from its what? Root, is nothing but demos, the people. Kratos, rule of the people. As soon as you lose the focus on the people, you lose their interest. Aristotle has told us that if you want to examine a government that is legitimate, that will always stand for the people, it should be government that is legitimate. And that government is government that is served by many people who have control over the government. And it doesn't serve the interest of family. It doesn't serve the interest of cronies. It doesn't serve the interest of party apparatchiks, but it serves the larger interest of the people. Once you deviate, you are heading for doom. And that no amount of prayers, no amount of consultation from even the devil can save you.
Okay, thank you so much, Doc, for your time here on Joy Newsroom. Away from that, the Chancellor of the University of Education Winneba, Nini Gate, has urged the youth to become advocates of peace and agents of unity in development, and ensuring that they rather work together to ensure they eschew violence. Now, he made this call during the 29th congregation of UEW, particularly emphasizing the need for peace in Boku and surrounding areas where ongoing conflict has disrupted lives and education. Central Regional Correspondent Eric Asante has more in the following report.
The 29th graduation ceremony at the University of Education Winneba saw 6,969 graduates, comprising 3,769 males, with the remaining being females. Speaking at the ceremony, the chancellor of the university, Neni Gatu VII, urged the youth, particularly those in conflict-affected Boku, to become champions of unity and development.
I rise today not only as chancellor of the University of Education Winneba, but as a concerned Ghanaian to make a heartfelt and passionate appeal to the good people of Boku and its surrounding communities. Let peace reign. Let the guns go silent. Let peace speak louder in Boku. Let us silence the guns and raise the voices of reason, unity, and brotherhood. Let us remember that conflict only brings suffering, loss, and destruction, not only to lives and property, but of the future dreams of our young ones. Boku is a land rich in culture, strength, and resilience. Its people have long been known for their industrial spirit, but today that spirit is being tested. Families are being torn apart, children cannot go to school, and livelihoods are crumbling under the weight of persistent violence. We cannot educate a nation where part of it burns. We cannot and must not allow this to continue.
The Vice Chancellor, Professor Stephen Jobs Mutual, advised the graduating class to carry the values of the University of Education Winneba into the world of work.
You have journeyed through sleepless nights, tight deadlines, personal sacrifices, and moments of doubts. And today you stand tall, adored in success. You are not just recipients of degrees, you are embodiments of determination and a proof that hard work pays off. As you step into the world beyond the university walls, I urge you to carry with you the values that define the University of Education Winneba: discipline in your actions and decisions, excellence in your pursuits, and service to your communities and country.
He outlined major strategic investments by the University of Education Winneba aimed at enhancing teaching and learning.
In addition, we have boosted the examination unit of the college by appointing additional examination officers to support the growing demands of academic administration. These strategic investments are already contributing to faster turnaround times and a more efficient system, enhancing academic experience for our students while enforcing our long-standing commitment to academic integrity and excellence.
The Pharmaceutical Students Association of Central University is taking bold action to combat the rise and abuse of illicit drugs, including red, among youth in the Ningo Pram district of the Greater Accra region. Now, more than 400 students led an awareness campaign in the Pram community, reaching an estimated 3,000 residents. Alongside the campaign, they provided free medical screening and other essential health services. Carlos Coloni has more in the following report.
Part of this year's Ghana Pharmaceutical Student Association GPSA's week celebration at Central University, over 400 pharmacy students volunteered in the association's maiden outreach program in Pram. Hundreds of residents benefited from free medical screenings, free medications, blood donations, and other health services. President of the association, Lord Israel, emphasized that alongside providing healthcare, The initiative is also focused on tackling drug abuse and raising awareness on the devastating impact of the use of red among young people in the university's catchment area.
So we've realized that drug abuse has become a very serious issue in our country, and then Ningo Pram district is of no exception. So through our outreach program, we are tackling head-on this drug abuse issue, especially the wound in red trend. So we are educating as many youths as we can get on the negative side effect on the use of wound in red or tramadol, on they themselves as the youths, their family members, and then the community as a whole. So we are looking at targeting at least 2,000 to 3,000 people in the Pram area. We are giving them free health screening and then supplying free drugs to them, and then also referrals with regards to cases that are a little bit out of our hand.
Female members of the association emphasized the critical need to prioritize women's groups in the fight against drug abuse.
We are not just talking about tramadol, other painkillers and drugs that women tend to use, especially abortion pills, are things that we also have to look at controlling in the system. The drug abuse is one thing that is on the rise amongst all the youth, not just males, but then females too. We are taking it upon ourselves to reach out to young ladies in the communities around us to educate them on the adverse effects of drug abuse and then how well to protect themselves from its adverse effects as well.
Several beneficiaries of the outreach expressed deep gratitude for the initiative, praising its impact on their health and well-being.
Since I was born, I've never go to a place to check, and this opportunity has also helped our market women and other people to be able to come here and check. Some will find it very difficult to go to the hospital to do such, so we say we appreciate this opportunity.
Some volunteer students described the initiative as a transformative experience, calling it an eye-opener that enriched their academic journey.
I'm very positive that doing this will help us not only give back to society, but also to know how we would work in our dealings with people, potential patients.
For Joy News, Carlos Kaloni, Pram.
The Upper West Regional Chairman of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, Daniel Kwesi, has debunked claims that the country innovation program is designed for community pharmacists to take over the work of clinics, health centers and hospitals. While speaking during a capacity building workshop for 20 community pharmacists in the Upper West region, he emphasized that the program seeks to enhance the delivery of better and quality routine maternal and neonatal services within the community. Joining News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Salam reports again from Wa.
The Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana is among 10 organizations in the country that have won a bid to implement the Country Innovation Project (CIP) of the Ghana Health Service and funded from a Canadian grant. The aim of the project is to bring improvement in the health of their clients. The project is in twofold. The first is to leverage community pharmacists by building their capacities to enable them offer better and quality routine maternal and neonatal services to their clients in the community. The other is to establish a revolving medicine fund to help to increase access and availability of maternal and neonatal health services commodities. Our Powers Regional Chairman of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, Farm Daniel Kwesi, threw further light on the project.
What we are doing is a training for the community pharmacies in Upper West. And the project is a pilot project, so it's in selected district. So we have done some selected community pharmacies in the region, 20 selected community pharmacies in the region, and the purpose is to train them on maternal and neonatal healthcare services, how they will integrate such services into their routine community services.
Farm Daniel Kwesi, who also doubles as the director for pharmacy at the Upper West Regional Hospital, disclosed that community pharmacies are not coming to take the work of the clinics, health centers, or hospitals, but in to fill a gap in the service delivery chain.
No, the community pharmacies are already in the what? in the community. But the issue is that every community pharmacy and the kind of services render. Because you shouldn't forget that community pharmacy too is a business-oriented facility. So they also look at areas that will benefit them and they offer that service. But we as Ghana Health Service and the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana know that this is the gap between the mainstream of health in terms of the getting to the chips, the health centers and the polyclinic. There's a gap. And we want to the research and the research results show there's a gap. So if those people don't get to the chips, they don't get to the health centers and the polyclinics and the hospitals, where would they access their service?
Deputy Executive Secretary of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana and project lead Harry Otri spoke of the revolving medicine fund and how it will work.
It's at a highly subsidized cost. This is a zero profits initiative, and so the prices that NHIA will give a client is the same prices that these medications are going to be given to the client. So basically, that is going to solve a problem of lack of availability of medicines. It's also going to remove any financial barriers to accessing these medications, and geographical access is also removed. Because one of the challenges, especially in this part of the country, is last mile distribution for the drugs to get to the end users. The districts are very far apart. The road networks are not, in the best possible shapes. And so sometimes when you even request for a drug from another, from the inner cities to the remote places, it's a challenge. So we are making these medications available at the facility level so that, the geographic access is also removed as well.
Reporting for Dwayne News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
You're still watching Joy Newsroom. We'll be back. Please stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us. To other stories now, the Ghana Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana has raised concerns about the nomination of Immanul Asana of Teu TUC to the University for Development Studies Governing Council. Teu GH claims that the representation of their union on UDS Council is in dispute and currently under investigation. Therefore, it is illegal to put Mr. Sampana as their representative on the board. While addressing a board and a conference at Tamale, National Secretary Atia Akurugu James indicated that a committee set up by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, is still investigating the matter, which makes it illegal for him to be part of the board.
Teu Ghana are fighting the nomination of Immanul Asana, who they said had already been nominated in previous boards but was challenged. The group won the decision rescinded. Addressing a press conference ahead of the swearing-in, Teu Ghana Secretary Atia Akurugu James said, in instances where the unions are two with the same class of members in an understanding, the Chief Labour Officer is to be notified to undertake verification to determine which union represents the majority of the workers to represent the workers, adding that in this instance, they are the majority.
Now the unions are two. We have Teu Ghana and Teu TUC. So when it happens like that, the usage and practices of labor is that a verification is done by Chief Labour Officer to determine which union represents majority of the members. Then you will represent the members. We have noticed that some people or some powers want to still overturn this usage and practices, which is governed by law, Section 10.1 of Labor Regulation 2007 LI 1833. It is stated there clear that we know that the powers will have to follow that. It is unfortunate that they are not doing that. They want a minority to represent a majority. Hence, our situation we find ourselves in now.
Responding to the petition during the swearing-in, the Minister for Education, Harry Nedriso, said Even though he had taken notice of the petition, he is guided by his role.
The regulator is the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. As minister, my tax is defined. I'm responsible for policy. I want to note that there is protest from a section of people about the determination of their representation on this council. I am not able to resolve it on this table. I have taken note of it, but I'm guided that in getting this council constituted, we took advice from the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, walked it through the presidency. The president walked it through the Council of State, and I've only been asked to come and do this on behalf of Excellency the President. So we would see how that matter is resolved. But as Member of Parliament, I'm guided that text is important. When you say Teu, what do you mean? Clear, coherent intention of Parliament. When you said Teu, what did you mean? Did you mean Teu, the TUC, or Teu? I have taken note of it, but we worked with your recommendation.
Meanwhile, members of Teu TUC have congratulated Immanul Asana for his nomination to serve on the board.
I was hoping and praying that this day, one day, will surely come. And actually true, today it has happened. My second thanks go to him, Iron Lady. She has done very well. Madam Fosti, hey, the calls in the night won't let her even sleep. When there is information, you have to call to find out from her. We thank her. Then the whole staff that rallied behind us, we say a very big thank you.
Renowned legal practitioner Anankam Ankomah has advised musicians and instrumentalists who perform in churches to ensure they have clear contractual agreements before demanding payment for their services. Speaking on Joy FM Showbiz A to Z on the rights and responsibilities of creatives in religious spaces, Mr. Ankomah emphasized that while churches often invite musicians to enhance worship experiences, performers must formalize their engagement through legal binding contracts to avoid misunderstandings.
For any transaction which requires what the lawyers will call consideration, which is payment, there must be an agreement. And an agreement is arrived at when the two minds meet. The lawyers will call it consensus ad idem. In Tree, we'll say at ntiasia ejuma. Okay. Right, where your mind has met mine, and we have understood that for doing this thing, you will do that. So there's a payer and a receiver. It's a contractual relationship. Without that contract, you cannot demand payment. Let's understand that. Okay. Unless and until there's a contract. Now, the contracts come in two forms. One is that you are an employee. So you might find that in some churches, they have full-time musicians. They are on salary. They go to work from 8 to 5. And they play music for the 8-hour day.
Wow.
Yes.
8 to 5?
Yes. They are I mean, I'm going to stay away from mentioning any church by name. But yes, I know churches where the musicians go to work from 8 to 5. And when you hear them play, you know that they play music every day. Okay? Then there is the contract for services, which is really a client-customer relationship. As I come, like you said, you go in there, it's a business event, your group appears, you agree on a sum, you perform, and you're paid, and you go away. It's not a day-to-day work. They have no control over the way you work. It's a contractual basis. Then there's honorarium. You know, basically, we are giving you what, as we like to say, the Lord has put on our hearts.
Ankomah, who is also an instrumentalist and a member of the music group Joyful Way Incorporated, also advised pastors and church leaders to invest in quality if they want to have a very good music department.
Demand Maverick City quality sound. You can't do that with an hour rehearsal at home and a 2 hours rehearsal on Saturday and going on stage. Because now the sound demands more technical input. You will need stems. Stems are actually digital recordings of sound before you perform. So you need to get into a studio, you need to book time, you need to play your basic tracks, get your time sequence, get drums in, and decide which instruments we need to complement. Voices, get singers in to sing. You then learn how to perform on cue. Your musicians now may no longer be able to perform with just wedges. They will need in-ears, so you must buy P16s. The music gets complex because, you see, if Osofo wants his message on YouTube, the sound quality can kill his message, right? And so you need to do pre-production of the music, then you do the live recording, then you do post-production, because you don't want that wrong chord that the guitarist played to feature in the YouTube video. So the guitarist has to come back and track again. Now, the demands then are not the simple we go to church, yeah, that was you, yeah, you are your hinkesi, hallelujah.
Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. Good afternoon.